Good afternoon and welcome to this webinar today. I will basically be looking at a personalized medicine in Africa. And we are sure we are going to have quite a lot. So we'll begin by giving a brief about the project that has given this webinar an opportunity. Then later we are going to have our speaker who is going to take us through the area of interest. Then finally, we are going to have a section for Q&A, whereby you are expected to ask questions regarding the area of discussion. So for now, you are free to introduce yourselves on the chat. But in case there is any question that you want to be addressed, feel free to use the Q&A forum. And also we'll be sharing a link where you can join the community of practice. And in the community of practice, we can continue with this conversation. So for now, I take this opportunity to invite all of you from wherever. I can see we have participation from all over Africa. So welcome to this webinar. I'm going to begin by giving a brief about APHRC and also a brief about the project. So allow me to share my slide. So my name is Bernard Ondiek, and I work with the with the APHRC, that is the African Population and Research Center. And I work as the training coordinator for the Virtual Learning Academy. So I'll begin by telling you briefly about APHRC now that some of you have just read about us, but you've never interacted with us. So APHRC is basically the main thing that we do is research. That's actually why we exist. And we have a proven track record in research. And after we've done the research, we also do policy advocacy, whereby we put in place effective policy and outreach and engagement. Then we also do a lot of capacity strengthening, and not just capacity strengthening, but capacity strengthening that is sustainable and also that brings impact to the ecosystem. Then we are truly African, so we ensure that anything that we do, we have a touch of African in it. So who are we exactly? So I'm going to share the vision of APHRC, which is transforming lives in Africa through research. That's why we exist. And how are we able to get to this? We are able to get to this through generating evidence, strengthening research and related capacity in the African R&D ecosystem. And we also engage policy to inform action on health and development. Is research, how do we do transforming lives through research? So normally the evidence that is generated is what is used to make decisions. And these decisions are either directly or indirectly impacting lives. Then the more we gather, we do research with more people, the more we get the evidence. So as you do more research and you engage more people in doing the research, you have a lot of evidence. Then the people doing the research will now use this expertise so that they are able to support decisions that directly or indirectly impacts their lives. So there are several areas in which we normally have decisions that impact our lives, including policies for our institution, program design, implementation and improvement, budget allocation, service delivery, practice, guidelines, also uptake of tools and innovation, then finally individual and community behavior. So far, APHRC has projects in close to 35 countries, and our three main programmatic areas include research, policy engagement and advocacy, and also capacity strengthening. And you'll find us having partnership with various institutions and organizations. And these partnerships are of varied length and duration. So some are formalized, others are long-term. And then there are some that we come together because of mutual learning and capacity strengthening. So one of the areas in APHRC that we have include the research and related capacity strengthening. This is the wing that supports us with the capacity strengthening. And here we have 3 units. So the first unit is the individual capacity strengthening unit. So here we aim to strengthen the technical, intrapersonal, and interpersonal aspects of individuals' capacity in order to undertake high quality research. Then we also have institutional capacity strengthening. This one aims at strengthening institutional capacity to collaborate, to collaboratively come up with systems, structures, and processes, which at the end of the day will promote research and development in Africa. Then we have the R&D ecosystem unit, which has actually brought us into this webinar. So here we strengthen support structures, regulatory frameworks, and linkages for African research and institutions, and also researchers, so that the researchers can become critical voices and drivers of the development agenda in Africa. So those are the 3 units that are within the research and related capacity strengthening. So now, why are we here? So we are here because of the Africa Research Support Hub initiative. And this project is actually Africa-centric research support hub that provides practical research and grantmanship skills, which are required to conceptualize this research and also successfully fundraise for it. So this is a project that is 3-year, and it runs between 2024 to 2027. And we have 3 regional satellites. The first satellite is West and Central Africa. We also have East Africa, and we also have South Africa. So within the West Africa and West and Central Africa, we actually are bilingual. That is, we look at the French and we also look at English. Then this project has a plan which includes study and access to resources. We also have mentorship, we have light training and intense training with protected time to post PhD and early and mid-career researchers. So far, we have targeted several audiences, and these audiences, as you are going to see in the next slide, are able to access our resources, which include the Virtual Learning Academy, our community of practice, and there are some that we bring together so that we can take them through capacity strengthening in grantmanship through a face-to-face approach. So these are our learning paths. So for the early and mid-career researchers, so you'll find that for postgraduate and pre-doctoral researchers, we take them through monthly webinars. So we've been running webinars since last year with various subjects that aim at increasing the capacity of researchers. Then we also have self-paced training courses that we offer in our Virtual Learning Academy. Then we also have facilitated training programs, and we have a community of practice whereby we have subject matter experts who are able to address areas of concern for the researchers. Then for postdoctoral researchers, we have face-to-face training and mentorship. So here we do regional face-to-face grant writing workshops. We've successfully done one for East Africa, and we'll be doing another one for the West and Central Africa in Senegal in the coming month. Then we also do matching mentors for the 12 months, and then we also have seed grants that we give. So we did a call for our self-paced e-course, and we had an enrollment of 5,898. Out of this, you can see 42% were women and men were 58%. And you can also see the distribution in terms of the field of study. And it's very interesting that medical sciences had the highest number of participants in this, followed closely by social sciences. So we've been offering this course in cohorts. And for the first, we've done 3 cohorts so far. And one beautiful thing about this course is that it has a peer review mechanism whereby after participants have gone through the course, they are able to submit a grant proposal concept. Then within this concept, we are able to do peer review within the system. So the participants are able to look at each other's work, and then the system is able to generate the best documents or the best concepts. And then these concepts are able now to go to the next level, whereby we are able to refine them until they get a level whereby they can be submitted to funders, or maybe they can even be submitted to get seed funding or something like that. So that's how we are doing with our e-course. So how can we get engaged? So in this initiative, everybody has something that they can offer and something that they can get engaged with. And one of these is our self-paced courses. So we have quite a number of courses that you can take advantage on in our virtual learning academy. And I know my colleague is going to add this into the platform. Then we also have our community of practice. Again, this is a very interesting space whereby you are able to engage with other experts who are in the field of grant writing and also in research. So I encourage all of us to again join the communities of practice. We are going to share the link on the page so that you'll be able to get more expert information. The questions that you might have after this webinar, you can also post them there and somebody is going to get back to you with the solutions. So when you get into the community of practice, make sure you join the grant writing community. It's one of the communities that you'll find within that space. So you can join that community and then you will be able to create an account. Then once you've created the account, make sure you've logged in with the account. So select the community, which for your case will be grant writing, but you can also join others in your area of interest. Then you can do a self-introduction so that we can know who you are. And from the past webinars, people have given testimonial that within the community of practice, they have met people who have actually partnered with them in doing projects. So brand yourself well within that space so that people will be able to notice you. And who knows, maybe funders will also be able to notice you in that page. Then make sure you engage us by asking questions and answers. In case there's an answer that you have, you can always provide it so that we can continue with our engagements. So I think I'm going to stop there with my presentation so that I can now invite the next speaker. So I'll stop sharing. So I'll be inviting our program manager in the research and related capacity strengthening, and specifically in the R&D ecosystem unit. And this is Marta. She's going to give us a word or two, and then she's also going to invite our speaker of the day. Let us encourage Marta by giving her virtual claps. Okay, welcome, Marta.
Thank you, Bernard. I hope you can hear me well.
Yeah, we can hear you, Marta.
There are many clubs. Just so you know, I'm the one non-African in APHRC. So Bernard was not lying when he said that this is an African-led, an African moved institution. I'm just here by chance, and I actually have lived in East Africa for 13 years. So there's a little bit of an African in me. even if I can never claim to be from the continent. So it's a pleasure. Good afternoon, good morning. I can see people from pretty much all over. Thank you very much for making time to join us today. It is actually my enormous pleasure to be here to introduce you to Mohammed. Mohammed is a molecular geneticist, a dedicated genetic counselor with a passion for improving his patients' lives. And as far as I have seen, he's a great lecturer at Muhimbile University of Health and Allied Sciences in Tanzania. He's passionate about communicating science, and spending a few minutes with him can fill up your batteries of optimism for a month or two so that you can continue doing your work with a bit of enthusiasm, of all the enthusiasm that he has. And thus it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to Mohammed Zahir. I hope you will enjoy the presentation and engage in a lively Q&A session afterwards, and that you will decide to bookmark APHRC as your capacity strengthening partner. Without any further ado, Mohammed, please take it from here. Thank you everyone for being here too.
Thank you so much, Martha, for that wonderful introduction and a warm welcome. I just want to confirm if you can see me and my slides.
We can see you. You're not in slide. There you go. Now you're on slide.
So we are good. Fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this invitation, Martha. It's always a pleasure. And I must commend you from Bernard, your presentation, the work that you guys are doing. And there's so much potential in building capacity. And I'm so happy to see that in the audience, we've got comrades from all over Africa. I've been reading the chat and I'm seeing we've got members from North, South, East, West, and Central Africa. So this is really a Pan-African audience. And I think this is the right time to speak about such important initiatives. So the task allocated to me is quite simple, actually. I am supposed to be talking about personalized medicine in Africa. And the way I'm going to structure this is really looking at it, as Martha already mentioned, that as a person that is optimistic, we have to look at how we can unlock this potential that African scientists and particularly young scientists in the continent have. And how can we unlock personalized medicine through the implementation of genetics and genomics, particularly through global partnerships. So that will be sort of my gist of how we will structure the conversation. And I'm told I have about 35 to 40 minutes, after which we will have an opportunity to go for the Q&A session. So let's start with the basics. What is really personalized medicine? In terms of its definition, personalized medicine is a very relatively new practice of medicine. So as we all know, medicine is really an evolving field, and personalized medicine comes in where we now have more information about a person's genetic profile. So what this particular field does is it utilizes the genetic information about a person. It tries to understand a lifestyle of a person and the environment that we live in to really guide a medical expert to make decisions about what can be done to prevent or diagnose or even to treat a particular disease. So in principle, the knowledge of a patient's genotype or the genetic profile really helps medical scientists and doctors to select the right kind of medication or therapy that's particularly useful for your body, because all of us have different metabolisms. We all process medication differently. And so when we have a better understanding of the type of DNA sequence that we are carrying, the environment and the lifestyle, that when we put together will really help us to understand how much of a specific drug or a dose is required for an individual person. And so if we look at what we've done in terms of conventionally, so the photograph that you're seeing, if we focus on the left-hand side of the picture, ideally, and this is probably what all of us have experienced, when we get sick, we go to the hospital or to the clinic, depending on where you are. And when you meet your medical clinician, they will start with a battery of clinical examinations and perhaps maybe some blood tests. And then based on those tests, they prescribe you with certain medications, which is somewhat of a generalized way of conducting therapy for the disease that you might be carrying. And they don't necessarily distinguish between the individual genotype. So, and as a consequence, what happens is there are certain types of medications that might create some sort of serious adverse effects. Maybe some of them do not have any efficacy, so they're not really working for you. And in certain cases that the medication might be well. And you perhaps even might have this experience within your own family that even a drug like omeprazole or even paracetamol or any other basic medication, maybe my grandmother had it and she felt better in 1 hour, but if I have it, I don't feel better for 2 days. So all of those things is really combined into how our DNA sequence is in fact written. But what happens here when it comes to implementation of personalized medicine, we take into consideration the specific DNA genotype information, and therefore that information will tell us the drug dose, or the type of drug, or maybe which type of medication would be more ideal for your condition depending on your body. And the idea is very simple. You want to really reduce those serious events, the adverse effects, the side effects. You also want to make sure that the efficacy remains high and that there are no, let's say, effects to the body that are going to be harmful. So that's, in principle, what personalized medicine is all about. And so personalized medicine actually really boomed through when we talk about the evolution of medicine after the Human Genome Project was over. So jumping into the project of this Human Genome Project, this is a scientific marvel or a milestone that actually started in the year 1990, thanks to the folks that you see on the picture at the bottom right. That's Professor Francis Collins and Professor Craig Venter. And the idea was quite simple. You know, the human DNA is made up of more than 3 billion base pairs. And this DNA has 4 building blocks. There is the adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So the AGTC. That's basically the code with which the DNA was written. And we've got, each of us in every cell, we've got, except for the red blood cells, because those are non-nucleated, but the rest of the body where the cells are present, about more than 3 billion base pairs of those exist in every cell. So the idea of the Human Genome Project was simple. Let's write them down. Let's make sure that we have a database that captures the sequence of these A, G, T's, and C's that actually make up your DNA. And the idea was simple. You want to have that representation into a database because when we are using information about the DNA sequencing and compare it between a person who has no disease versus a person who has a specific disease, particularly that might be caused by the change in the genotype, then it becomes easy to know where the mutation or where the change happened in the DNA and how did it happen, and so on and so forth. So that was sort of the idea of the Human Genome